This is why he's brought this team for really, and if it, you know, Tony Pulis, it would have been sadistic in the pre-match build-up. This is what Paris Saint-Germain, the glamour boys of Paris, are going with.
Still without many of the players that took part in the European Championship and Copa America. Kevin Trapp is in goal. The back four of Savali, Kimpembe, David Luiz, and Levan Kurzawa, Caligari, and Stambouli, the holding midfielders. A three-man attacking midfield line of Rolly Pereira de Sa, Hatem Benarfa, Nanitamo Ikone, and up top is the promising 18-year-old Osdon Edward. Meanwhile, for Tony Pulis, as you mentioned, a trio of teenagers in the 11 with one per line on the backbone, as Fitzwater is in central defense, Sam Field in midfield, and Jonathan Lecco lines up wide on the right. It's Ben Foster who's in goal. Backline completed by Dawson, Olsen, and Pocognoli. Matt Phillips, the new signing from QPR, gets his first start, and up top, a familiar combination, a talented one at that, Saido Berahino and Salomon Rondon.
Oh, always an entertainment factor watching Berahino. Anybody that, oh, that's a really good shed. That is. The lads up there at Crows having a good bath, but this Berahino is the one for all the casual observers just tuning in to take a good look at. A very controversial young player, an English under-21 international, has got class and skill coming out of his ear holes. You can actually see it emanating from his beautiful physique, the Burundi-born man. And we'll get into the little details about Berahino, but football is second nature to him, and he's a skillful, wonderful footballer. But he's just a little bit, how can I say this kindly? Cuckoo.
Well, perhaps that explains him turning down a new contract at West Brom that would have tripled his salary, but there is plenty of interest in Saido Berahino.
Yep, get into it, and we'll have the chance to talk about Saido's problems off the field and his attitude that causing a lot of clubs to shy away from him. But one of the players, as we see the famous baggy colours, going back to the rather thinner stripes, I don't like it. And I used to play against West Brom. There were nice broad stripes. Alan Merrick, my old coach, used to play for West Brom, and they've had some wonderful players in the past. A lot of the fans, Andy, that follow West Brom have all been complaining about this venue.
Not about the line?
Yeah, maybe the lines when they wrote theirs out had a few beers too many. That one.
Yeah, they weren't happy, Ray, to your point. Yeah. The West Brom traveling fans, there's no direct flights from Birmingham to Salzburg. It would require taking a train of 3 or 4 hours, depending on whether you go through Austria or Munich.
Wow.
Some have managed to make their way over.
Yeah. There's some supporters not too happy about it, but the chairman and the manager saying, well, you've got to take a back seat to the first team's priorities sometimes, and fitness is one. This is where we want to flog the boys, and it is a very difficult place to get to from the Midlands. You've got to make the initial connection into Munich, I believe, and then 2 or 3 buses, a couple of trains, and then you're here. And what a beautiful setting. It's worth the trip. See, typical Midlanders. If there were Geordies, there would be 10,000 Geordies there, guarantee you.
Well, there's only 4,400 population in Schladming.
Oh, they're taking over this little hamlet.
Very much a ski mountain town that is known for its winter sports.
Yep.
This time of year a bit quieter and a bit wetter.
Well, like I say, these lads will be used to it. A picturesque setting there. Little Heidi.
This is, by the way, the same venue where West Brom faced Red Bull Salzburg last summer. That drew some similar complaints from the Albion fans.
Looks a good playing surface. We're not going to know until the ball actually rolls. The referee and the lads have had a good kick around out there. What a beautiful setting this is. I mean, how can you complain? Pretty setting on the sidelines as well.
Adult beverage in hand.
Can't beat it, Andre.
Umbrella on the other.
What a lovely way to start the day. Eh? Well, on the other side of the tunnel, we'll probably get a good look at the new PSG man as well. Unai Emery arrives, as you said, Andre, replacing a tremendous coach, in my opinion, in Laurent Blanc. But a new man arrives, a new sheriff in town. PSG, great aspirations for European conquest, not just challenger. They want the cup with the big ears that belongs in the White House of the Merengues, the mighty Real Madrid. They did it again.
And you look at the quality of the managers, Ray, under the QSI era at PSG. There have been some big names, not the least of which Carlo Ancelotti, now at Bayern Munich. Ancelotti, remember, was pried away by Real Madrid, so that ushered in Laurent Blanc, the former France manager who had had so much success at Bordeaux as a manager. Now he's replaced by Unai Emery, who's been waiting for a job of that caliber after 3 consecutive seasons winning the Europa League title with Sevilla. And on the other side, West Bromwich Albion, 7 consecutive seasons, or going into their 7th in the top flight of English football. That's out of just 11 Premier League seasons in their history. And Tony Pulis, who took over in January of 2015, has done a more than serviceable job getting in the mid-table finish this past season.
Yeah, Pulis has got a name for organisation, all right, and he's been given a big responsibility in taking the job. He took the job right before the start of the season, not a couple of seasons ago, and was given basically carte blanche, which is not many coaches get that. He says who comes and who goes. He's the big boss, and they appreciate how he keeps the men afloat in the blue and white stripes, but always the inconsistency for West Bromwich Albion. It wasn't so long ago that they finished well up. I think it was 8th place not so long ago, but the inconsistencies have caught them out in the last couple of seasons. Finished in 14th place last year.
Got a good look there at Darren Fletcher, the West Brom captain. It was one of the first signings for Tony Pulis when he came over in the 2015 January.
You never get the feeling with Tony Pulis' teams that they're ever going to go down. But the question is, for a very proud club like West Bromwich Albion, they want to get back to the days of, you know, pushing for a European spot.
He's not too happy with the reputation as a salvation-style manager, Tony Pulis. He says that people neglect to take into account the teams that he's gotten promoted, not just avoiding relegation. He's never been relegated. That is often brought up when we talk about Tony Pulis, but how about the fact that he has gotten teams promoted out of every division in English football?
Well, maybe he should be applying for the England manager's job.
I heard that's available.
Yeah, but he comes in as very much a rock-solid defensive organizer, Andrea, and yet he's got the foresight to know that this lad that's going to be wearing the number 18 shirt, I hope you people that are tuning in to watch a good old game of pre-season footy recognize this player wearing the number 18 shirt, Cedro Barahino. I've seen him a handful of times, Andre. He's been breathtaking, nothing less. And setting the table up for him to fail spectacularly here. In these conditions, though, with his guile and his beautiful balance, he is a special player, but he's having serious problems with his attitude and with a lot of it. And a lot of that gets laid at the blame, the door of his agent. His agent is very manipulative and demanding of certain things, and he's not been happy with the way Berahino has been handled. And it's very unfortunate because we hear about all of these English young talent coming through, but Berahino is probably more talented than any of them. And like I say, I'm judging it on probably a dozen games or so that I've seen, but every time you see him, and sometimes where the ball doesn't actually lead to anywhere, he entertains, and his skill and his ability to ghost by players is second to none.
Yeah, still just 22 years old, ways away from entering his prime, though it does seem to be getting younger and younger for players nowadays. But if there is anyone with a little extra motivation on this West Brom side, it may well be the man who's just turned down triple wages. So look for Pastors anew. He's very much on the shop window, Cedro Barahino.
He's been shopped by so many big clubs, predominantly in the super rich EPL, but it was Liverpool coming in for him, the great Reds, 5-time champions of Europe, and Liverpool were one of the first to want him. Then it was Spurs, and then Manchester United, Chelsea. They all came knocking. My Newcastle United was serious and was rumoured to be very close to making a deal. Wish he had a went.
Speaking of your Manchester United, Hatem Ben Arfa moved back to French football from Newcastle to join Nice, where he was an absolute standout last season. 17 goals, 6 assists, and that prompted interest from the likes of Barcelona and Unai Emery's old club Sevilla, but it's PSG who have snapped up the 29-year-old Ben Arfa, who is very much worth the price of admission.
Absolutely. And what he started to put in his coffee, nobody knows, because, as you said, Ben Arfa was arguably the best player in France. I'm sorry, Ibra, but, you know, let's be calling it as it is. I'm getting a text message from Ibrahimovic here, and I'll get back to him. But now, Ben Arfa was fabulous.
Interesting to note, David Luiz wearing the captain's armband in Unai Emery's very first 11. Of course, we are still without a handful of players who took part in the European Championships. Thiago Motta, Salvatore Sirigu, and new signing Thomas Meunier. Blaise Matuidi, who made it all the way to the final with France, and Gregor Krychowiak, a newest signing, who has followed Unai Emery from Sevilla to Paris.
What a good signing.
And back in French football, where he made his name before joining the Spanish club. A couple of players who were at the Copa America are still on vacation as well. Edinson Cavani, Angel Di Maria, Javier Pastore, all missing today. And of course, the injured Marco Verratti. While the young Marquinhos is with Brazil for the Summer Olympic Games in Rio.
I'm going to pick a fight with that lad.
Someone did.
Live television, huh?
Meanwhile, Johnny Evans, the notable absentee from West Brom, he was taking part at the European Championship with Northern Ireland, winning hearts and minds. They do have the new signing, Matt Phillips, straight into the starting 11, coming over from Queen's Park Rangers.
Don't know what the hold-up is here, Andrea. I don't think it's definitely not crowd disturbance.
Well, it's not going to stop raining. That's what they're waiting for.
No, not at all. It's been this way for hours, and maybe some thunderstorms of a more serious nature and lightning attacks. But the ref looks happy enough. It's a good sign. You see a ref having a good laugh with the lads. Very bad weather in the area, as we saw, coming down from those mountains, and technical problems, so we're all getting pixelated.
Well, it's not an 8-bit match. Bear with us. We'll get the technical glitches sorted out as the teams walk out onto the pitch for the start of this one. The 6-time French champions, including each of the last 4 seasons, Paris Saint-Germain, kicking off their preseason campaign with David Luiz wearing the captain's armband. This will be an important preseason for many of the youngsters. 4 teenagers have made Unai Emery's 11. And we'll let you know more about them in just a moment as the teams line up.
It's Phil Shane that should have been calling this one as well. I've got to say, Andre, excuse me, but Phil, Austrian descent.
Yep.
So he knows the language. He's visited this area many times, he tells me. So I would have liked to have had some bit of a cultural input from Big Phil Shane.
No offense taken. Would it help if I told you I just drove through the Alps?
Yes, you did tell me that. What was it like? I can imagine.
Absolutely beautiful. It was my own episode of Top Gear.
Beautiful setting, wonderful country. And again, the setting for West Bromwich Albion, hard work, the slog, the pre-season, the stamina work that you've got to put into your body, and nobody better than that than Tony Pulis' Fletch and the corresponding captain David Luiz shake hands, and we still have technical problems, so excuse us, bear with us.
Well, we will be stepping aside for a quick commercial break, but we get this sorted out momentarily. Just about ready to get this one underway, as PSG will be kicking off from right to left on your screen in the all blue with the white trimming. Meanwhile, West Brom debuting their new home kit for this upcoming season. Alongside Ray Hudson, I'm Andres Cordero. Preseason football underway ahead of the 2016-2017 campaign from Austria. It is PSG against West Brom. And there was an early touch for Presnel Kimpembe, 20-year-old central defender who's lining up alongside David Luiz to anchor the back four. This is Levin Kurzawa in possession. Former Monaco man brought over just before the start of last season.
Well, the important thing right out of the traps is that the ball looks to be as if it's true and got a good roll to it, so it just seems to be the inclement weather up above in the atmosphere, so it may interfere with our signal from time to time, but pitch looks good.
Although the ball is quite quick under this wet condition. Here's Kimpembe. Keep your eye on Lorenzo Caligari, the 18-year-old central midfielder. It's an Italian name, but he is French-born, and he has been dubbed by those following the PSG Academy as the next Marco Verratti, which is no small praise. All the way back for Kevin Trapp.
We'll have a look in the technical area to see if Unai Emery's still looking for that Spanish sun. Haven't had a good look at the new boss yet.
Misplaced pass by the aforementioned Caligari, who's given it away to West Brom. One back by Levin Kurzawa. Kurzawa was part of that mass exodus from Monaco after making their way back to the top flight and making some marquee signings. They did a bit of a fire sale, and Kurzawa was one of the last to go at the beginning of the previous campaign.
Good young promising talent, as you say, Andre. Saw him at Monaco and he really impressed a lot of clubs, big ones. They don't come much bigger than PSG nowadays. Look out, Berahino.
Given away by Caligari, and there is the aforementioned Berahino with Salomon Rondon in support. Pressured by Caligari.
With possession by Sado.
It's Sam Field who's played it back. One of the teenagers starting for Albion today. Sam Field, just 18 years old. Same age as Jack Fitzwater, who starts along the back four. And also the 17-year-old Jonathan Leko is in attendance on the right wing. This is Kimpembe. Kurzawa. Rolly Pereira de Sá, a 19-year-old Frenchman of Portuguese descent, lining up on the left side for PSG. Hatem Ben Arfa in the middle, and it's Nanitamo Ikone who is wide right.
Conquering PSG last year in the domestic league. Andre, what did they win the league by? Something like 55 points or something? I'm exaggerating a little, all right.
Wrapped it up in March.
29 points clear. 29!
And that was their fourth in a row.
There's some cracking teams in French football. Second place went to Lyon. Of course, and Monaco had a good year. Nice, Lille,
Ben Arfa
was a pretty team to watch, but none more electric than these Royal Blues, who could turn the style on. But missing their great, magnificent nose now, Manchester United taking Ibra.
There's Ben Arfa past one, back into the middle, dangerous ball in, and miscommunication at the end, allowing West Brom to clear the ball out of danger.
Again, typical skill by Hatem Ben Arfa there. Wonderful close control, drops his shoulder. Defender buys a little bit of it and just takes that little bit of a blink of the eye nowadays for Ben Arfa to draw blood.
And there he is again, Ben Arfa. So Edward was upended the first free kick for PSG. There's a good look at Matt Phillips, the newcomer. £5.5 million from QPR.
Scottish international, proud man. but even a bit closer as we look at Tony.
Not too far removed from winning the Premier League Manager of the Year in 2014 when he was at Crystal Palace. He's responsible for signing many of the big names on this West Brom side. He brought Salomon Rondon over, Darren Fletcher, and made him captain. Matt Phillips, the latest coup.
Well, this is well within David Luiz's striking range, believe it or not. This man can unload, and whether or not it's going to be clipped in, maybe a little bit too far, but look out, he's Brazilian, remember.
It is David Luiz. Oh, driven in, slapped over the bar.
Is he ever a Brazilian? I'm telling you, as soon as a Brazilian sees the weights of the goal, they are shooting. And nobody strikes a ball like a Brazilian. What a beautiful humdinger. This one, tremendous technique. That's heading into the net. And it's a blur coming at Ben Foster. Well played by the keeper.
In swinger, the penalty spot. David Luiz able to bring it down. Crossed into the 6, easy for Ben Foster. Edward, the closest to it, he was ready to head in at the near post.
Special type of technique, that, isn't it? You see Cristiano Ronaldo strike through the ball that way. Always recommend to the kids looking in, don't try that, you'll break your foot, because he's striking through with his instep, and you've got to get a degree or two underneath the ball. A very difficult discipline to master, but again, he's Brazilian.
Here is Matt Phillips looking to take on Kurzawa. Bit isolated. Kurzawa, nicely timed tackle to win it back. Stambouli, Caligari. Plenty of touches for Kimpembe.
Just said in the preview, Andre, some of these kids that are playing in this royal blue shirt of Paris Saint-Germain barely know how to shave themselves here. And 17-year-old, 17, Andre Bernard, 18, Ikone, and Lorenzo Caligari. How old is he?
18 years old.
Oh, fabulous.
Kimpembe gaining ground, played ball for Kurzawa. He's forced to retreat to Kimpembe.
First time we saw a little glimpse at Unai Emery, and it's a typical glimpse of him, like a traffic cop in New York City with his arms. Could he have achieved any more, Andre, at Sevilla? I'm not so sure.
He achieved plenty, Unai Emery, in terms of the continental titles, but keep in mind, Villarreal arguably had a better season domestically and nothing to show for it.
Yeah.
Caligari struggled with his distribution. Yeah, Kurzawa, and struggle doesn't define it.
It's a bad cross or a speculative shot. I think he's going for goal. Sees Big Ben Foster a little bit off his line, fancied a pot, and you see this Scottish captain once upon a time